New this week from Marvel Comics, Sentinels, issue number 1, written by Alex Paknadel, art by Justin Mason. I'm calling it early here that this was yet another 10 out of 10 week for the vast and wonderful world of comics. Which makes my self-appointed role as a reviewer a little difficult because I just want to say, go read comics. They're so cool. Why aren't you reading comics? However, the objective and analytical side of myself wants you to be hyper-aware of some of the great comics that might not be on your radar, which is the function of this review. Sentinels is an enlightening and entertaining new addition to the burgeoning new X-Men universe that Marvel Comics has been developing in the latter half of 2024. I, like many of you, I imagine, have been dipping my toe into the world of X-Men after the end of the complex, meandering, socio-politically focused era of Krakoa, and I think that I have found my place in the wide world of X-Men comics for the first time in my comic book readership. Primarily with Gail Simone's Uncanny X-Men. It's great. Though I have also been loving Phoenix and NYX, I should say. But my current readership of Uncanny X-Men is what makes Sentinels such an exciting release, allow me to explain. If you've been keeping up with Uncanny X-Men, then Sentinels will be an immediate reward to your readership as it broadens aspects of the X-Men universe specifically featured in that comic. However, and most importantly, Sentinels could just be read as a standalone issue, maybe with some minor plot or structural details that you would want to further explore. I think it is particularly noteworthy to have this new universe of X-Men expanded upon with a new title so soon, and in such a unique and surprising way. Sentinels is proof that Marvel Comics has learned to engage their readers sooner rather than later. Additionally, it shows that Marvel Comics is not relying on the die-hard old X-Men fans to carry the title forward on their backs week to week. Can't help but feel that if this new slate of X-Men was released even 5 years ago, the title like Sentinels would have been released 2 years into the Uncanny X-Men's run, right before it concluded. Just before all the hype and engagement surrounding the title had died. Maybe that's just me being cynical. What's most important is that Sentinels is one of the most fresh, organic Marvel titles released in recent memory, that provides some great foundational world building to the X-Men universe that should have been explored years ago. Alex Paknadel put it best himself on Twitter, saying that it is encouraging to see comic book fans pick up this title, which features a brand new cast of characters with very few legacy character inclusions that would be a traditional draw to this book. So this is just a really approachable series for new readers to step into, with a small ensemble of repurposed soldiers given a second chance at life as Sentinel nanotech-infused androids, which is reminiscent of action-packed pulp sci-fi like RoboCop or Terminator, experience that is only heightened by the detailed, graphic, emotionally laden artwork by Justin Mason, who has certainly created a haunting, artistically specific comic book world that you want to explore. Let's talk about issue number 1 now, which means spoilers ahead. Sentinels begins by throwing us and our intrepid heroes straight into the action as we meet Lockstep, Shellback, Sawtooth, and Voivod as they descend through the air, having been shot out of a flying Sentinel Colossus. Additionally, in this short introduction, we learn that the Sentinel Fire Team is actually an attachment of the Graymalkin Prison Facility, which is an anti-mutant organization that is currently repurposing the iconic Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters as a prison. We also learn that these Sentinels are led by a Mr. Trask, which should ring some bells if you're familiar with the bigoted history of the Sentinel program. From the outset of the Sentinel team's arrival in the frozen outskirts of Russia, they are plagued by mechanical and interpersonal issues, which is perhaps a foreshadowing of the team's longevity, or perhaps more indicative of the haphazard management and implementation of the team by their superiors. As the team of armored androids make their way through the abandoned Russian town, we learn that one of the agents, Shellback, is distracted by the memory of his father, who passed away last night. It is a humanizing moment as the other members of the team express their sympathies in their own way and express their own discomfort at the inhuman way that they are being treated, showcasing the perspective of how the Sentinel team members view themselves as opposed to how they are viewed by others. However, the team does not have long to revel in the emotional and philosophical complexities of their existence as they uncover their target, Omega Red. If you are unfamiliar with the horrifying entity known as Omega Red, then this comic does a great job of contextually demonstrating who he is without overtly explaining it, which is nice. But essentially, he is a serial killer and mutant who has the power to secrete pheromones that drain life essence, that was experimented on by the Russian government to become their own version of Captain America, and awoken by the ancient evil ninja clan The Hand and trained as one of their own. You know, just a pretty basic Marvel villain. The preceding pages showcase an inventive and engaging fight scene where the transformative abilities of the Sentinels are put on full display, with Sawtooth transforming into a mechanized giant robot in order to fight the terrifyingly unhinged Omega Red. Ultimately, it does take Voivod, who is hilariously the grenadier of the group, blowing himself up in order to incapacitate the Red Menace. However, instead of heroic fanfare or a rescue, this comic takes another decidedly dark turn. The team leader, Lockstep, discovers just how badly Shellback was affected by Omega Red's life-draining abilities, essentially turning him into just a broken machine. As Lockstep calls in Shellback's fully grafted state, he aims his rifle at his team member's head, saying, "No, I can't do this, not again." However, Voivod does step in and takes the shot, blowing out Shellback's overloaded brains. We then cut back to the Graymalkin Prison Facility, where we see director Karina Ellis arguing with Sentinel director Lawrence Trask, who is the son of the Sentinel founder, Bolivier Trask. Here we see firsthand the schism between the intentions of either leader, as Karina rebukes Lawrence for choosing targets without her oversight. Also hints at Xavier reviving Lawrence Trask on Krakoa, which is certainly a morally complex decision on Xavier's part. Next, we see the Sentinel team in the lab as they are administered their routine mood regulators and awkwardly meet their new team member, Drumfire. Feeling undermined and emotionally ignored, Lockstep barges into Lawrence Trask's office and demands an explanation for what his intentions are with the Sentinel team. Trask explains his position in a rather poignant metaphor, citing the historical eradication of the wolf population in England by King Edward I, which then incited a blood feud between neighboring townships. Trask views the Sentinels as the wolves, the necessary evil that will stop humanity from destroying mutant kind or itself in the process. This philosophy places the Sentinel team in a rather intriguing, morally gray position in the Marvel Comics universe that feels organic rather than stylized. I'm really curious to see how this tedious position develops, coupled with the Sentinel's personal psychological division between man and machine, which may very well develop further into a more apparent conundrum between hero and villain. In the final pages of the issue, we see Lawrence Trask defending himself to his board of directors who wish him to step down as operations director, as Omega Red attempts an escape at the Graymalkin prison, fighting off Sawtooth and Drumfire. Trask inevitably uses his own precognitive mutant abilities as a bargaining tool to improve the interests of the company. Further explains that he is using the Sentinel program to hunt mutants that he saw as a future threat to humanity's existence. Meanwhile, at the prison, we learn that Drumfire's desperate battle with Omega Red, where she demonstrates some really cool frost breath abilities, has led to the premature release of a dangerous test subject, Onslaught. The appearance of Onslaught is a huge cliffhanger to leave us with, as it is one of the strongest characters in the Marvel Comics universe and has not seen the light of day for some time. Sentinels is a nuanced exploration of the dark side of X-Men comics. A host of new, capable characters that feel like they have the potential to become integral parts of the new Marvel Comics universe to come. If you want to help support genuine, imaginative, polarizing, fun, new choices in Marvel Comics, then please support your local comic book stores and pick up Sentinels #1 on shelves now. First of all, badass, iconic character introduction. I really like that this comic doesn't hold back on the graphic imagery and gore, but it doesn't feel over the top, like it's trying too hard. And this first issue really does a great job of demonstrating how unique the Sentinel team can be in terms of combat, and also has some great character moments for established characters like Omega Red. I love that top image so much. It's so detailed, and it says so much wordlessly. First two panels here, another amazing, quiet, unspoken moment. And this scene was really badass. I mean, the dialogue was really chilling, and then also, obviously, the superpowers were chilling. Ah!